What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Danny Show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, and this is where I give commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. And before I get started, I want to thank all the new viewers. I want to thank all the old viewers who have been around watching videos in the past, and I want to thank all the subscribers. And to all the newcomers, welcome aboard. I hope you like, comment, and subscribe, and also share with your friends also so they can get in on this fun as well. Without further ado, let's get started with tonight's episode of Friday Night Smackdown, which is by far one of the biggest episodes of this year. Dare I say one of the biggest episodes of SmackDown in a long time. So, let's get it on. In our opening contest, we opened the show up with Bianca Belair, SmackDown Women's Champion, to team with her husband Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins of the Street Profits against Bayley and the Dirty Dogs, or as they say in the Waterboy, the bunch of dogs. But either way, a bunch of dogs, as they say in the Waterboy. We saw them get some momentum, and with the Street Profits losing in the previous week with the championship on the line, they got a little bit of momentum against their rivals, the Dirty Dogs, when Montez Ford went for the finish with the amazing frog splash. And I said this in my previous video with the Backlash throwback review from 2002, I said that while Eddie Guerrero and RVD, who faced each other that night, were also great frog splashers, Montez Ford, in my personal opinion, is one of the greatest masters of the 5-star frog splash, in my personal opinion. I don't know about you guys, but let me know what you think in the comments. But in my personal opinion, I think he is the master of the frog splash. No disrespect to the late Eddie Guerrero, one of the greatest to ever wrestle and live, and RVD, who is also a Hall of Famer this year. Montez is one of the greatest frog splash maneuver doers ever, in my personal opinion. Also, speaking of tag team championships, there was an interview with where Kayla Braxton, my crush, interviewed one of them at least. One interviewed Dominic and Rey Mysterio, and I have to say, I really want to see Dominic and Rey Mysterio become the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. I really like Montez Ford and Angelo of the Street Profits, and again, Montez does the best frog splash. However, I really need to see Rey and Dominic win the Tag Team Championships. Father and son as champion, that would be his story. And it is ironic because his best friend, Eddie Guerrero, who I mentioned earlier, was tag team champions with his nephew, Chavo Guerrero, way back in 2003. So this would be amazing to see, and I think it needs to be seen. And I think that needs to happen. Another thing that I think needs to happen is Tamina Snuka and Natalya need to be the women's tag team champions. In my personal opinion, we have in NXT, we have Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon, who I wanted to win the whole tournament in the first place. But now, when it comes to the other wrestlers, female wrestlers, Tamina and Natalya are my favorites. Both have an amazing background story. Both of them are really trying to stay relevant, which is very important, not just because of their family name, but like Charlotte Flair, they want to carve their own path. So I really want to see Tamina and Natalya become tag team champions. I want to see it. And when it happens, when that tag team match happens, I will be rooting fully for Natalya and Tamina Snuka, especially since I think this will be the first championship that Tamina has had. How long has she been in the WWE? She ushered the Usos into WWE in 2010. And ever since then, how many championships has she had? It's time for Tamina to get a championship. 10 years, no, I take that back. 11 years in the WWE's roster. She needs a championship, and she deserves a championship. Not just because of her last name, but because of what she's done. She needs a championship. She deserves it. If anything, if she had challenged AJ Lee for the championship in 2014, she probably would have won it because she was that tough and unstoppable at the time. That's why AJ Lee wanted her as a bodyguard. That way, she wouldn't have to be an opponent. Just kidding, because I thought AJ Lee was a cool wrestler. So, no offense to AJ, of course. But anyway, Tamina Snuka and Natalya, tag team championships. I want to see it. I want to see Dominic and Rey Mysterio as SmackDown tag team champions. And then we can get back to putting the Street Profits in action. But I want to see the Mysterios win it. Eddie Guerrero will be looking down with a smile on his face. Moving on, tonight was a night filled with championships. It was all about championships tonight. And one of the championships that was on the line was Apollo Crews with a fake accent, just like Kofi. No disrespect to his heritage. I would not dare disrespect where he came from. You see this? I would never do that. I'm just saying that it's funny how he is purposely faking an accent like Kofi did. And someday, I don't know who, maybe not Triple H, but someday what happened to Kofi is going to happen to Apollo, with all due respect. Now, I would never disrespect him like in that sense because I'm African American myself, so I wouldn't do that to him. I'm just saying he's faking an accent. Anyway, moving on, Apollo Crews had a rematch against Big E, whom I was rooting for in the first place, and some of us from a scripted standpoint were rooting for Big E to win the championship, or should I say retain the championship, against the new reformed Apollo Crews. However, as we saw at WrestleMania, Apollo Crews had help from Commander Aziz, who we previously saw in Raw Underground, where he fought against a couple of developers, and of course, Braun Strowman. But now he has returned ever since Underground and went off the air, and he has come back and he has aligned himself with Apollo Crews, and now has that move that is remnants of Umaga's Samoan spike, when they take the thumb and throw across your throat. Man, WWE, when they have those videos, if you ever order a WWE DVD or play a video game, you're likely to see this commercial that tells you, and it's one of those commercials that if you have it on DVD, notice that you can't skip it because they want to make sure you hear very clearly, do not try this at home. Because that throat thing, you look like you could kill somebody with that. But either way, getting down to serious business, the rematch between Big E and Apollo Crews tonight was for the Intercontinental Championship. Everything was interesting, and Big E had the match won, in my personal opinion. He had the match won until Commander Aziz came in and pulled him away from the pin, attacking him, only to have Kevin Owens, who was the last week's victim, come out and fin Big E while getting I don't even want to say that word. I was going to say retribution, but I'm going to say revenge, because every time I think about that, I think about how ridiculous that script was. And there is still ridiculous, by the way, because I know we're talking about SmackDown, but for a moment, I got to say it's still ridiculous, because on Raw, they still won't let the guys be themselves. Especially Dominic. We know it's you. They took your mask off. Drew McIntyre took his mask off and said, "I'm doing you a favor." Yes, you are. And y'all still refuse to be yourselves. He was better off as Dominic Dijakovic anyway. Sheesh. Y'all take him away from NXT where he was doing perfectly fine and then just messed him up. Y'all just sent him into a downward spiral. And you did the same thing to Mia Yim. Y'all better hope he don't follow Big Show and Christian to AEW. For all we know, with you guys releasing Billy Kay and Samoa Joe, who never got a chance to have a WWE Championship run, they're probably going... No, Joe might go to TNA because that's familiar ground. But TNA is somewhat aligned with AEW anyway. So, bottom line, let's get on back. Retrace my steps. I went totally out. All I'm saying is, back to the WWE Championship. Kevin Owens came to defend Big E against Aziz. And, of course, it was a fight because they got disqualified. A perfectly good match ruined because Commander Aziz interfered, which meant Big E won by disqualification. So, also, Kevin Owens came to defend him, fighting off Aziz, only to be disrupted by conspiracy theory, Trump parody, Sami Zayn. And of course, Sami Zayn, being the guy that he is, tried to suck up to Apollo and Captain or Commander Aziz. He tried to suck up to him, and it didn't work. He ended up getting the iron nail, which is known for some of you, is remembered by the way Umaga did it with the Samoan Spike. It was aka known as the Samoan Spike, but now it is known as the Iron Nail, I believe. Yes, the Iron Nail. And so Sami Zayn's laying out and holding his throat, and I'm thinking, I see why WWE tells us not to try this stuff at home. That looks like it'll kill somebody. But getting down to some real serious business. This was the match that we all came to see. I spoke about it last week. Special shout out to the Elitists for your comment and support and your thumbs up in last week's video. However, this was the match we all been waiting for. Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Smackdown Universal Championship. Many people had their way in. New Day were split in their opinions. Xavier chose Bryan. Kofi chose Roman Reigns. Booker T chose Roman Reigns. Of course, Baron Corbin wasn't really playing a lot of favorites because he doesn't like either one of them and has faced both of them. So nobody likes Corbin, and Corbin doesn't like anyone. So, of course, Corbin wasn't playing any favorites, of course. And then you had The Miz saying, rightfully so, that that Roman Reigns is unstoppable and Daniel Bryan could get the job done. So, with all the opinions, including Shinsuke, who said, regardless of if Roman wins, I'm coming for you, Roman. That was Shinsuke's opinion. And so we got into this match. It was an amazing match. I must say, first of all, Roman tonight is a new person for a couple of different reasons. He is confirming himself as a heel for a number of reasons. Number one, he's already made a thing where he has had the Thanos glove. And of course, Thanos is the infamous villain of the Avengers movie, both in Infinity War and Endgame. He is the Avenger enemy with the Infinity Gauntlet. And Roman Reigns, ironically, wears the Infinity Gauntlet, which can spell extinction, which is the new name of retribution. But either way, he has the Thanos glove on, and tonight Roman has a new theme. Wow, that's a heck of a theme, I must say. And that new theme just to me, spells out that I want to make myself look different, that I want to establish myself more as a different Roman Reigns than the ones that you guys seen over the years, that I am a definite bad guy now and things of that nature, just making himself look like the ultimate villain in some sense. And he has established himself with the new theme, the attitude that he has developed since last year wearing the gauntlet. However, tonight it was an epic match. It was a match that just had us there. We saw the best move. They put out their best moves. Daniel Bryan brought out his running knee, and quite honestly, Daniel Bryan used his running knee and Roman Reigns used his spear. Each time they did it, I knew, in my personal opinion, that they were going to kick out of each other's moves, because with so much being on the line, I did not think that a spear was going to end it all. I did not think that a running knee was going to end it all. I knew this was going to be epic. I knew it was going to take more than what they're used to giving, and I knew that they were going to be more resilient than they have ever been before. I knew that for a sure fact, and tonight was proof of that. They let everything in the ring. Unfortunately for all of us who are Daniel Bryan fans, fortunately for the elitists who commented, you got your desire. You wanted Roman Reigns to win. You were rooting for the tribal god, and tonight the tribal god has been victorious in using his new developed guillotine bar to keep Daniel Bryan out and put him unconscious. That move is going to be hard to break out. And what's crazy is the first time he did it, because he did it earlier, but the first time he was able to find a way to escape. However, the second time, not so much. The second time, it was over with. So what that means is Daniel Bryan, unfortunately, is no longer on SmackDown, which means he is either heading to Raw, NXT. I don't know what's next for Daniel Bryan. But maybe we'll find out this Monday or this Tuesday or in a couple of months if he decides to go to another program. Hopefully he'll still stick with the WWE. I don't know what's going to happen. But to make matters worse, Roman Reigns takes a page out of his third opponent's book, because at WrestleMania there was a triple threat match and Edge was the third opponent. And tonight, Roman took a page out of his book with the Concerto. Cesaro ran in and tried to stop it, but of course, main event Jey Uso, who was Roman's right-hand man, came in and just made sure that Roman carried through with what he was attempting to do. Before I go, I want to state a fun fact that I've noticed when I looked up Sports Nation. When Sports Nation was trending about WWE, they noticed something. Wrestling, in all organizations, every main champion happens to be a heel. Isn't that crazy? Bobby Lashley, the Almighty, is a heel WWE World Champion on Raw. NXT, they consider Karrion Kross as a heel. I thought Karrion Kross was becoming somewhat of a face. I don't know. We'll see. I know Raquel is a heel. With Raquel, I got a little confused until this past week. So you have Bobby Lashley, heel. Karrion Kross, some might say, is tweener. I don't know. Roman Reigns, definite heel. Kenny Omega, who crookedly won the championship from Jon Moxley, as we know from WWE as Dean Ambrose, heel. Whoever it is from Ring of Honor, heel. A lot of champions are heels, which means we are in the era of doing this a lot. Unless you decide to cheer for the guys who happen to be a heel, because it's your prerogative as a fan to vote for whoever you want for, to root for whoever you want to root for, regardless of whether they're quote unquote good guys or not. Who knows? You could be responsible for turning them into anti-heroes. It worked with Stone Cold Steve Austin. It worked for Hulk Hogan in 2002. It worked for Becky Lynch. So if you cheer, they may be forced to make good guys out of them, simply because they realize that you, the people, made the rules and not the script. So hey, we got to see what happens. I don't know what's next for Daniel Bryan, but I know he's off SmackDown, which is a little sad to me. But for those of you who are Roman Reigns fans, it's not that sad to you. You are rejoicing, and you have the right to. But for most of us, we are just doing a lot of no's, no's, no's. So I don't know what is next for Daniel Bryan. But we got to see what happens next. It is so ironic. The wrestling organization is just run by the heels. And Roman added insult to injury. His new theme is just reminding us all that he's just a different person. Just like The Rock did in 2003 to establish himself as somewhat of a heel, he changed his theme in 2003. Seth Rollins did somewhat of the same thing as his role as a heel started to sink in a little bit. So those type of things happen. And that's all the time I got for you. I don't know what's next for Bryan, but we'll tune in to Raw and NXT to see what happens next. I hope he doesn't leave the WWE or get released, but only time will tell, folks. Only time will tell. Peace out. Have a nice weekend. Stay safe. And I'll be back another time with more reviews. Night out. Peace.